Life is happening for me and not to me. Life happening to me, it's a stance of victimization. When we're saying life is happening for me, everything is an opportunity for us to learn and grow. And so all of these things have happened to bring me to this point of understanding for myself. My belief is that I get to share this with the world through my story, through my research. Healing is not just physical. There are so many layers to healing that I have experienced. If we're only seeing life through scientific materialism, we're missing the boat.
Welcome to Live Well, Be Wise, the podcast that deepens the well-being conversation, finding the gold in your stories of hardship and the connection to wise action and lived wellness.
We are your hosts, Dorinda Carlson
and Kari Lyons-Price. Welcome, friends and neighbors of the Wenatchee Valley. We're so honored and excited today to introduce to you Blake Suzelis. He's a neighbor in the Valley, an integrative healthcare practitioner, and he has one kick-ass story today. It's about survival and growing through hardship, learning how to heal. From birth to present, he has come through decades of physical challenges, including cancer, and most recently, a 17-day coma whilst visiting Peru on a shamanic journey. This story of Blake's is one of profound grit, grace, and healing. Not only does he share his personal story, but he gives us this beautiful sneak peek at his unique 3-part healing system in his work with body-mind medicine. So sit back and enjoy. Welcome into the studio today, Blake Suzelis. We're so excited to have you here. I'd love to just start by asking you what you'd want to share with the audience, just as a who am I, what brings you to this moment?
What I thought I would share was my health journey personally, and then how that's kind of weaved into what I offer the world in terms of profession. So the story starts on my day of birth. So when I was born with gastroschisis, which is a birth defect where your intestines, and it could be more than just intestines, are formed on the outside of your abdomen in the womb. And so back in 1980 when I was born, at that time the surgical procedures they weren't great yet. And so they basically gave all children at that time with gastroschisis about 3 years to live. Of course, that's what they told my mom too. And I had multiple surgeries by the time I was 3 years old. And she was just like, I'm not going to have it this way. So she started praying about it, and then she was led to an alternative practitioner, Dr. King, which now it's really funny and ironic that he was only 20 minutes from our house at the time. Now, Dr. King owns a global homeopathic company called King Bio now. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but yeah, this is so it's so synchronistic that he was there 1980.
Okay. Just and this is back in Ohio.
This is back in Ohio, like Ravenna, Ohio.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
It was meant to be.
It was. So she said, from the moment I started taking the homeopathics, my color started coming back, because the biggest thing, it was a failure to thrive. They just weren't absorbing food, and it's just their bodies just couldn't sustain. The homeopathics helped me to really work with that part of my system. My color started coming back, my energy started coming back, and she's like, I was just a new kid. And so I was, I think, 2.5 or 3. Like it was right towards that end date that they were giving, expiration date they were giving me.
Wow, and she's thinking, I better do something.
Exactly. As a result of that, my mom, okay, this is obvious. There's something to this, and so I'm going to pursue being a homeopath. And honestly, to this day, it's probably the medicine that I notice that works the best for my system. Now, that's just my body. Everybody else's bodies are different, but for me, like, that's just what works the best. So to kind of go back to that, my last 2 surgeries, though, were when I was 6 years old. Okay. And so I was in 1st grade, and I was in the hospital for a month. And so this birth defect, and I bring that up as the first part of the story because it did affect it's still affecting me in a big way. And 2021, I was talking to a pediatric surgeon, and he actually told me, Blake, you have to recognize, like, you're one of the oldest survivors of gastroschisis in the country.
Incredible.
And I was just like, well, that puts it in perspective, you know. If I kind of back up then, so 6 years old, my last 2 surgeries, I had to go into the hospital a couple times after that. But
And you remember these
And I
surgeries.
remember all of these
Yeah.
things. And I had this story at 6 years old. I was like, okay, a pediatric surgeon saved my life, so this is what I'm going to pursue, to be a pediatric surgeon. I mean, like, since 6 years old. So I had this story, this narrative that I was following for myself. And when in high school, I was part of this pre-professional academy of medicine and all this. They gave me a free application to medical school as a part because of that particular program I was in, and I turned it down. And I was just like, I'm not sure I'm ready for this. Which was really interesting because everybody around me was like, Blake, this is what you've been talking about since
What
you're
are you
6.
doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Hello.
So you got cold feet.
I got cold feet.
Yeah.
And so I decided I'm going to go to the University of Akron. I started just all the biology, chemistry, human anatomy, all that first year. I just knew this is just not what I want to do now. It was a hard identity shift. I had wrapped my entire story and life around this. And then in that moment, everything just crumbled. And so I'm like, well, now what? Who am I without this thing, right? This,
Did it
this
feel
path.
like a dark night of the soul sort of a transition, or was it a little more light?
It was kind of both.
Yeah.
Because I felt so lost, but at the same time, I also felt so free. Because then I could explore, you know? So I pursued music, I pursued the arts, like theater, and just had fun, honestly. In all of that fun, my girlfriend and I, we ended up getting pregnant.
Yeah.
And here comes my oldest son, Seth, and I was 20 at the time. So started a family very young. Basically, you know, we ended up having 5 children together. And, you know, at this point, you know, Seth's 24, he's an accountant. So, I mean, like, this is, but in terms of my health journey, it was about when I was 30 is when the story kind of picks back up. So I had a pretty good stretch, honestly, of feeling pretty well. You know, energy was high, all the things.
You felt like a normal, functional human
Exactly.
being.
I was like, man,
Like,
if this is what it's going to be like, I didn't even question it at that point,
This
you
is
know?
your life.
And so at 30, I went back for my master's degree in professional counseling. And at that time, I was running, so my family, my oldest brother's a naturopathic doctor. My second oldest brother's an osteopathic doctor. My mom's a homeopath. And so we had this alternative medical clinic, but then we also had a health food store. And so I was there running the health food store. So that didn't stop. I'm still having 5 children. None of that went away, you know. We live on this, like, mini farm. We actually built a house on my parents' 115-acre farm. We had chickens, huge garden, like, and then I go back for my master's, and none of that stopped. And so I was stressed out.
Overload.
Yes, and I'll never forget, during my internship, my supervisor at the time, he's like, Blake, come in my office. And I was like, oh boy, what's going on? I need to teach you mindful thinking. Oh, okay. Teach me. He's like, Blake, you just seem stressed. Let's work on this. You know, you're trying to help people. I want to help you. So he taught me this technique of mindful thinking. And so about 2012 is when all this happened. But at that time, my body had already started responding in a negative way to all of that stress. I'll never forget, because it was like my bowels were the first thing to tell me that you're not okay. That was the first, like, communication from my body to myself that it's like, something's got to change here. To be fair, I had stomach aches every single day, you know, and then it turned into loose bowels. And so with this tool, the mindful thinking tool, honestly, within 4 to 6 weeks, I was able to get rid of the stomach aches. I mean, it was pretty amazing.
Is it a lot like the practice of mindfulness today that we would call it, or I'm just curious now, of course.
No, it's a great
teach
question,
mindfulness.
because it's a part of it.
Okay.
They call it mindful thinking because it is only part of the thinking. It's not the rest of the body. And so I've kind of taken that tool, and it's a part of a greater package of tools. But the basics of it is focusing on what you have control over. I mean, that's truly the basics. So it's like the past, you know, the only thing you have control over is learning from it, really. The future, you know, it's kind of your imagination. You don't really have control over that yet. So what is going to bring you back to this present moment? And what do I have control over in the next 4 hours, 2 hours, 10 minutes? And as I practiced that, it was really retraining my brain. And after that 4 to 6 weeks, honestly, it was a thought would come in and it would go through that filter of, do I have control over this right now? And either out or no, I'm looking at this.
It was literally a shift of thought.
100%.
You were shifting your thoughts, your perspective, which of course then, changed everything inside.
Exactly.
I see this mail sorting machine.
Yeah, right?
It's like,
Yes.
there's the inbox of thoughts. And it's like, yeah.
This one in, this
And
one
it started
don't
becoming
need it,
so
out.
automatic, which was cool, right? So that was really helpful. The only thing is, my body still didn't fully heal. I stopped having stomach aches, but the loose bowels didn't stop. And truly, it kept going until 2021. So that's 9 years. So part of the journey then, in 2016, we ended up moving across the country from Ohio all the way to Wenatchee, Washington. I got a job with the Children's Home Society. I was working as a therapist there. And that was also at the same time I went back for my PhD in Mindbody Medicine. And so things were going again pretty well, health-wise, other than that loose bowel. It just never stopped. And
You're just living with it.
I was just living with it. It was just my normal at that point.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, I had some plumbing issues to begin with, so maybe this is just the way I'm going to live. And so if we go a few years into being in Washington in 2019, my former wife and I, we decided we were going to become foster parents. This was kind of one of her dreams. To me, it sounded very overwhelming. And because I was already trying to work full time, we still had 5 kids. And of course, we didn't know what was coming in 2020 either.
Right.
So putting this all in kind of
The timing,
hindsight
yeah.
there. But we decided to go ahead and pursue this and became foster parents. But why I bring this up, I had to go get a physical from the
Right.
doctor.
Okay.
And so when I went in, he did some blood work and found that I had some elevated white blood cells. And at that time, it was about 11,000. And so definitely elevated. Normal, is under 8,000. And he's like, well, let's go ahead and send you to oncology. And I was like, wait, what? What are we talking about here?
What?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, because
It's a
he's
shocker.
talking kind of like nonchalantly, and I'm like, well, at this point, we don't know. And we just want to keep an eye on it. He's like, you have a high white blood cell count, and that is a marker for leukemia. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm holding on to that information with all the rest of these things going on. So in 2019, at that time, right after I got the diagnosis of lymphocytosis, meaning just high white blood cell count, I decided, okay, I'm going to radically change my diet. Now, the thing is, you've got to know, living in a health food industry, I have tried every diet, I've tried every supplement, right?
You're schooled.
Yeah, I have tried it all. But I decided to do, it was kind of a modified keto, but it was also with low FODMAP.
Your fusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening, though, is I started getting a lot of pain in my legs and weakness and everything. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. If this is this thing, the lymphocytosis happening to me, I don't even know. I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and see the oncologist. And he's basically just says, well, we're just going to watch and wait, see what's going to happen. There's nothing we can really do at this point other than wait and watch. Take your supplements, do your diet, exercise as much as you can, and we'll just kind of see what happens. And so I was like, okay, to complicate the story. So in 2018, I started working at the inpatient facility that opened up in Wenatchee. And so I was working there as the night therapist. And so my whole sleep schedule was off while I'm doing all these things. So that's all going on in the background, in addition to fostering children and having kids. And, my life, it was just way too much. You're seeing a theme here, right?
Yeah,
The layers
I'm not
of
sure what
stress.
to say about it.
Yeah.
Peel it all back.
Yeah, it's a lot. Oh,
Yeah, that's pretty deep.
2020, obviously the pandemic comes up. I'm not doing very well. Honestly, I started losing weight. The isolation, that just didn't help. I mean, we did stop fostering right before, literally February 2020.
Yeah.
because I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Thank goodness I was able to voice that, and we stopped. And so then later that year in October, we're just dealing with all of that, but I was still continuing to not really feel well. My former wife and I both knew we need to make a change, and we feel like we're being called to move. We'd only got here in 2016, so it was kind of nerve-wracking. It all just kind of synchronistically happened that we decided, okay, no, North Carolina is the place we have to go. But they have one of the best opportunities for me and my digestive system and the care that they offer there in Raleigh. And I was like, oh, that's why we were called there. Okay, so I was referred to a medical surgeon for my stomach. And the first time he saw me, he's like, Blake, you were too young to be this sick. I do surgery on Fridays and Tuesdays. Pick a day. August 16th.
And this is traditional medicine.
This is traditional medicine, because I truly, at that point, I was feeling a little jaded. I'd been doing alternative medicine for 20 years.
Right.
And
you're like, and I'm this sick?
Yeah,
What's going
I
on?
couldn't understand it. My brothers, my mom, everyone was trying to help me. I'm working on myself. But what ended up happening, the surgeon realized, okay, I've got a malrotation, I've got a supracolon, I've got physical things going on that supplements and medicine are just not going to heal. The only way was surgery.
Structural.
Exactly. Exactly. And I didn't want to face that. I was like, no, I can heal myself. Right.
Right. I'm going to untwist my own colon.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
So August 16th, 2020, driving from where we lived in Lenoir, North Carolina, and on the drive, I get a call from my primary care physician. And she's like, Blake, I have some bad news. I'm like, good God, like I'm going to surgery tomorrow. What do you mean you have bad news? She's like, well, the fish analysis came back, and we're going to have to diagnose you with chronic lymphocytic leukemia. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's bad news, But the time I was
pull over?
My wife, my wife at the time, she was just like, Blake, do you need, because I was driving, and she's like, do you need to pull over? I was like, I can't even think about that right now.
Right.
I'm thinking about surgery. Let's just go do this. And
One
we got
thing at a
there.
time.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the mindful thinking in a way.
It really was. I
can't
didn't have control
default.
over it.
Definitely.
That's a
gotta
good call.
Well, it's good that you had some tools, to work with, because that's a big bomb.
It really was. So the next day, I have surgery. And going into the surgery, they were planning to just put a few holes in me, look in there, do some laparoscopic stuff. But I thought I was going to end up with an ostomy bag. When I wake up, my whole stomach had been cut open. Ooh. Like from below my rib cage all the way down to below my belt. And I'm like, I'd asked my former wife so many times, like, what? Tell me again. What happened? I'm not getting this. Well, the surgeon came in, and he actually showed me a picture of my whole entire stomach filleted open. He's like, yeah, we got in there, and we just knew I took everything out. He's like, I took all of your intestines out, I cleaned them out, and I put them back in. He's like, I didn't do anything else. I hope it helps. I mean, this is literally...
Oh, my God.
And I was just like, me too.
You got replumbed.
I know, that was it.
Wow.
And he's like, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm hoping it does. Okay, we're going to go with it. Because I was already expecting to go back in 6 months for another surgery to connect everything with the ostomy, so I'm like, well.
So in some ways, this was maybe good news, although still hard to digest.
At the moment, I didn't know what to do with it. But looking back, it was the best thing that could have ever happened.
Okay.
Because the truth is, I work now. I absorb food. Wow. I gained weight. I mean, I'm 6'1", and I was down to my low was 128 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
So,
well, the first time when you said you were losing weight, I was going to, interject. It doesn't look like you could lose much weight.
Right.
I wanted to put it in perspective because, I mean, you're talking about, you just said how tall you are. And 128. I was probably 128 for years and years and years, and I'm 5'4".
Right.
It worked.
It worked.
It worked. I started gaining weight, and
Beautiful.
It was honestly, I would say that was my dark night of the soul, though, after the surgery. It was about 3 or 4 months. I'm trying to heal. I'm in chronic pain. None of the pain medicine really helped at all, so I just stopped taking it.
Sure.
And then, of course, I'm dealing with this new diagnosis, and what do I do with that? And I'm still the breadwinner of the household, so I'm trying to
Yeah.
hold my practice. And I mean, so there was a lot going on there too.
And you're a mental health practitioner, so you're hearing everyone
Exactly.
else's stuff.
Yes.
Wow.
And at that time, it's so interesting because I started this thing called Live Lucky Therapy. And 6 weeks after my surgery, I was already recording videos for it because it was like, it's a 12-month program where there's a weekly video that comes up, there's a book, a workbook, and then I was doing one-on-one stuff and group work with this particular group. And that probably saved me because truly I was having suicidal thoughts. I mean, it was a bad time. I was just like, I don't know how I'm ever going to get through this.
See your way through it.
No.
Yeah. So can I pause you right there
Sure
and ask?
thing.
Is that kind of one of those things, fake it till you make it? Like I hear Live Lucky Therapy, but you were so struggling to embody that yourself, but you probably yet desperately wanted to feel that was true?
No, that's absolutely accurate.
Yeah.
And, if you talk to the people that were in that first group, they would say, Blake, I had no idea. I had no idea. And, so it gave me something that, kind of like a purpose, and that got me through it. I'm helping these people, I'm creating something, and I thought it was going to be something just lasting that's going to impact, hundreds, if not thousands of people, And so it really did get me through.
Beautiful.
So the next step of the journey is 2022. My former wife and I decided we were going to leave the Christian church, which I was raised Catholic. Then we went to evangelical church for 20-some years until that point.
Big deal.
And so it was a big deal. I mean, we were leaders in the church.
How did you come to that decision to leave? I know that's probably
no, it's a great question.
Episode, but
That's true.
yeah.
I mean, we could have part 2, definitely. But I would think almost with what you were going through, not only with that program that you were upholding, but with faith. Those are things you'd want to clutch onto. So yeah,
interesting timing.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about why that decision came to be.
If I can, I'm just going to make it very simple. I'm going to say I decided I could not be motivated by fear anymore in any part of my life.
You just put chills in my body. I've been saying this for weeks. It's like I can't go there. I can't live in fear. And it is amazing how much fear does motivate people. But at the same time, what does that do to you mentally?
Yeah, what's the impact?
And spiritually? What is the impact?
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow.
Throughout all of this, I was still doing my PhD program in Mindbody Medicine. So I was also learning about how fear influences your nervous system and then ultimately our health.
And you've also got this, there's another overlay, this whole new digestive tract structurally, but wasn't that a beautiful synchronicity too?
Exactly.
You're almost learning to
it was like starting over in a lot of ways. Yeah.
redigest everything you'd ever learned or knew.
And not hold those emotions like fear in those organs that now need to be fed something new.
Exactly.
And in Chinese medicine,
this.
they say the large intestine is about learning to let go.
Yeah, this
Okay,
all
keep
fits,
going.
right? It all fits.
Yes.
I just decided, okay, I have to let fear go. And, and you're absolutely right, both of you, in saying that I'm trying to let go of anything in my life or reevaluate everything so that, because I was in the place at that point in early 22 of, I'm going to beat this thing. I don't care what it takes.
Yep.
I'm going to heal my body. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm ready for this journey. And so a couple months later, I started having some pretty incredible spiritual experiences too. I started meditating every day, and I had my first past life memory. I mean, there was so many things happening so quickly. And then in June of 2022, I fully just surrendered to this healing path. To me, it was a healing / spiritual path.
Yeah.
To me, that's what was presenting to me. I was asking to receive what is the path I need, and that's what was put in front of me. if we fast forward another year to 2023 in March, but my former wife and I separated. And I knew, for some reason, I needed to go to Sedona, Arizona. I didn't even know what Sedona, Arizona was. It was just like that call to North Carolina, just like the call to Washington. Like, I just knew.
So how did those calls come in?
It's definitely not a mental thing, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's just that embodied knowing, right? Down in the
It's
heart.
almost as if it just drops from the sky into your mind.
Into
in
my heart, I would
your
even
heart.
say. It
Yeah,
goes
thank
past
you.
the
Thank you.
mind, down into the heart. And then
You're like,
my
I
brain
gotta
is then
go.
trying to figure out, what? Are you crazy? Right? Like,
Right, okay.
it's the one asking all the
second-guessing.
questions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It feedbacks the other way, and it's like, what did the heart just say?
Yeah. So,
Okay, Sedona, here we
so
go.
I went to Sedona by myself. And this is the first time. I mean, I grew up with one of 5 kids. I had 5 kids. Like, I was never alone.
Never alone.
Ever. And so this was terrifying.
The classic walk in the desert.
Yes. And then, honestly, there's so many things presented during this path that just, again, I'm just taking one foot at a time and trying to figure out, okay, what's that next step? And I would say, plant medicine presented to me, and I was just like, nothing I would have ever been open to in the past. I mean, before that point, I hadn't done any type of anything. I was like, okay, this is part of the journey. And it's been such an integral piece of my healing journey. It's been really amazing.
Can you describe even what you mean by plant medicine?
So
to some
plant
people who
medicine,
don't know?
for me, it started out with magic mushrooms, if you will, psilocybin. But then part of the journey, I went down to, the first time, 2 years ago, to Peru, and ended up doing ayahuasca. And one of my friends was like, who happens to be also a psychologist, came down, and she's like, I'm coming down to Peru, and we're doing ayahuasca. And I was like, I guess this is happening.
Wow.
This is on the path.
Exactly. It was amazing. I don't know how else to describe it. It was amazing, and it was really helpful. And so a lot has happened. Fast forward, this spiritual healing path kind of culminates in a lot of ways because I'm writing my dissertation on the mind-body-spirit role in spontaneous cancer remission. So I'm surveying people who have experienced spontaneous cancer remission, and I'm trying to get all the information and data and understand this and digest it so that I can give this to the world, right?
And this was in 23.
I actually just completed my PhD in January of 2025.
Okay.
So
Congratulations.
so that was an 8-year-long journey. So I finished that in January of this year. Okay, and so leading up to that, I'm already working on launching this new thing called Vital Evolution. And what presented in the research was this 3-phase approach to healing the body. And that's what came from all these surveys and even from some of the literature review from other things. And so it's kind of like it starts out, phase 1 is external. I'm going to doctors. They are there to fix me.
For treatment.
Exactly.
Yep.
Phase 2 is now I'm taking responsibility for my body through diet, exercise, different alternative modalities. And then phase 3 is where we go internal and go really deep. Okay, and then we call that spiritual healing path,
I was
right?
Say, what are we calling that? Okay, yep, spiritual healing.
That phase 3. And so I'm launching this, and then Peru calls me back in February of 2025.
It just
and
rings
like,
up and says, Blake, come back.
I was going to go on a 15-day shamanic retreat in Peru. A week in, I end up in the hospital and in a coma for 17 days. And so I was in the hospital in Peru for 35 days from February till April.
And what happened?
So my working theory is that I had a host of diagnoses when they kind of brought me in. I think when I was flying down to Peru, I hit 4 different airports. And I think that's where I picked up COVID and influenza A. So I was dealing with that, but then it started about day 3. As part of this retreat, we were also going to be doing some plant medicine. But plant medicine I hadn't tried before, San Pedro. And I was learning actually a lot about the different plant medicines from the shaman who was guiding us. So about day 5, we were going to do our first medicine journey, and I was like, Kino, I'm not sure if I should do this. Like, I feel like I need the energy for my body. He's like, listen, Blake, this particular strain, it's to literally cleanse your body. It's like you're not even going to feel any psychedelic effects or anything. And I was like, well, let's do half a dose. And during the journey, the medicine told me it's going to feel like you're going to die, but everything's going to change on the other side. This is 2 days before I went to the hospital. And I'm thinking, okay, bring it. I've had a lot of different aspects of ego death and all the things, right?
Gosh.
Didn't realize I was going to end up in a coma. So
Yeah, you didn't sign up for that.
no, I didn't. Well, I kind of
there a
did, but I
waiver?
didn't know, right?
Yeah.
Did I sign
Yeah,
that
I
waiver?
know.
It's interesting when you put those things out in the universe and then you're like, oh, I didn't put
Yeah.
any caveats. Oh, I didn't put any boundaries around that.
Right.
Oh, now I
Right.
see.
Exactly.
So you're unconscious
So
the
I'm
whole time,
unconscious for 17 days in
Yep.
Peru, and thank God my partner was with me. Literally, she's the reason I'm still here. It's a miracle that I'm here. Like, I went to the hospital, and my oxygen saturation was 27%.
And it's supposed to be 100.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was still conscious at 27%. And I've talked to firefighters, and they're like, that's not possible, Blake. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. That's what they told me. And I just like, I don't know if it's just my breathing practice that I've done for years. I end up with severe pneumonia, and that they intubate me. So it's an induced medical coma for 17
Okay.
days. They expected 2.5 months to 3 months before I would even be out of the hospital. And I was out in 35 days. So
Oh, my
pretty crazy.
gosh.
And when I woke up...
Was that due to just how you were treated there, or was that also some motivation on your side? Like, I'm leaving here. I'm leaving here well.
I think there was a lot of factors,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's fair.
So my partner, Kayla, she is a shaman. And so she was practicing on me while I was in the coma. And truly, like, I had my own journey while I was in the coma. Like, it was almost like eternity. It felt like I was living multiple lifetimes. I didn't know if I was dead. I didn't know if I was alive. I didn't even know if I was Blake half the time. It was its own
trip.
experience. But she called me back to my body, and I really wouldn't be here. I truly believe it. Yeah, so there's all sorts of things. So she was a huge part, but there was a lot of people praying for me, sending me positive energy and all the things. But it really... I wake up again from the 17-day coma, and all of my life is different again. 2021, I wake up from the surgery, and I'm like, what happened? Same thing. I go in the hospital. I know they're putting me on oxygen, but it's about an hour later when they start taking me down to get an x-ray, and I don't remember anything after that.
I see a small pattern of these shifts happening quicker and quicker. Like, from infancy to 3 to 6, and then from 30-ish to now we're like hopping just a couple of years. I mean, what's happening next year?
I know.
In the last 5 years, you've had massive life changes.
Yeah.
Body, mind, spirit, everything.
In a lot of ways, I think through my research kind of confirms a lot of the things that I was going through personally. But one of the main mindsets is the growth mindset. The research, all the people who went through, this is one of the main things that they said was life is happening for me and not to me. And that they believed that's also what helped them through the journey. And so that's how I was even seeing this thing in Peru. It's like, okay, this happened for me, even though it was $110,000 of medical debt. So financially, it kind of decimated me, right? So I'm waking up thinking vital evolution.
Even though that's
full
quite
go.
cheap for American standards.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking that's
true.
like 3 days
I
here.
mean, let's put that in perspective, because it would have been millions.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah, that wipes you out.
Yeah, what kind of
But
wiped me
you
out?
were looking forward to doing this new endeavor.
Exactly. So, and again, that's why I felt like I was being led to, called to, and now Peru happens, and all of my life is flipped upside down, and I'm trying to come back, and it's like when you come back from a coma, like I woke up with complete muscle atrophy. I couldn't pick up my legs, my arms, like,
Wow.
I mean, it was full rehabilitation physically, and then the mental started, and then the emotional and relational and energetic. It was just like every layer of my life was rebooted.
Yes.
And so it gave me an opportunity to fine-tune things the way that I wanted to, but it's still obviously been a struggle.
And all this while, is that thread, life is happening for me, not to me? Is that kind of a mantra almost?
It has to be.
Yeah.
It's kind of like live lucky. It was something I can hold on to, keep me going.
Can you speak to the nuance between those two statements?
Absolutely. Yeah, so life happening to me, from my perspective, it's like a stance of victimization. When we're saying life is happening for me, it's like everything is an opportunity for us to learn and grow. And so all of these things have happened to bring me to this point of understanding for myself. And for me, my belief is that I get to share this with the world through my story, through my research, and help
that's
people.
Part of the growth mindset, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, the second most important mindset that came up in the research, which is really interesting, is it's kind of this, I call it surrendering expectancy. So you have a desire, you put it out there, but then you surrender to life happening for me. And that's the same thing that came up in the research. And so it's just really fascinating.
Do you feel that because of your circumstances that you have embodied this, that made all of this research much more believable? Like, would you have really, it's all conceptual. I mean, we're taking this in through the mind, yet it has to be embodied to be known.
Yes.
Hence your journey.
Exactly. Yeah, I have literally walked every step of that journey. Exactly.
Lived the research.
And working to embody it for myself. And I do get that question of, okay, so you had this diagnosis of leukemia back in 2021. They call it chronic, meaning it never goes away. It's genetic. They based it on 4 genetic chromosomal abnormalities, and that's why I was diagnosed. So I'm literally working to change my own genetics. So that's a pretty tall order.
It is. Somehow I think you're up for it.
Yeah, I am, absolutely.
Based on your history.
Nothing really scares me at this point.
Yeah.
So the research embodying that, but the question I sometimes get is, well, how's the leukemia? Like, what's going on with that? Like, have you, quote unquote, cured your body of this illness? And one of the things I think I had to unlearn about all of this was that healing is not just physical. There are so many layers to healing that I have experienced. And although my body is not fully, quote unquote, healed, still have a high white blood cell count. Okay. But to this point, I still haven't had to be on any medication, any actual allopathic treatment. I'm still pursuing this thing. So I'm just not over. That's the way I see it. I'm still in the journey, and that's okay. So, but I've healed on so many other levels.
Yeah, I'm so appreciating that you brought up what you've unlearned, because I love talking about that category, but also was going to ask you today, like, what do you think is one part of the healing conversation that we're not having in this culture?
If we're seeing life through that scientific materialistic lens of basically everything is physical other than these different physics laws of gravity and the weak force, the strong force, electromagnetism, if we're only seeing life through scientific materialism, we're missing the boat. Because you cannot do phase 3 and actually work through that healing journey without seeing the holistic view of things, where all the whole affects the parts and the parts affect the whole. And so you can't just take one thing out and only focus on physicality and heal that only. You have to look at the whole, what I call multi-dimensional self. We are mental, we're emotional, we're physical, we're relational, we're energetic. We have all these different components and quote unquote dimensions to who we are. And if we are not looking through that lens and talking about that, we're not truly going to ever get to the place of healing. But I do believe we're in the beginning of a revolution, honestly. I think that so many more people are having this conversation, and it's not just woo-woo anymore. There's research to back it. And so that's really exciting. I think we're in exciting times. I know a lot of people say the opposite, but man, I am so excited.
There's a door opened, right?
Exactly.
I used to teach yoga at the Everett Providence Cancer Center because they opened up a hallway for alternative medicines. And it seems that, I mean, that was new to Everett, but that has been happening across the nation for a decade.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are those doors that are opening. Now we just need to maybe a little kick.
Prop the door.
But when you have that personal experience, I love how this comes back into the way we change our mind, right? It's not just by changing what we think or starting a new diet. It's not from that level. It's through experience.
Yes. And can I take it
Lived
one
experience.
step further? Because I want to connect something to those three phases. If you think about another parallel in terms of these three phases, phase one is our animalistic emotional brain. And if we cannot tame the animal within, we cannot fully become the human, which is in our thinking brain, right? The prefrontal cortex. So then, if we're only living from that human aspect of ourselves, we're never fully going to get down to that divine intuitive heart. And so that's phase three. It's the longest journey you'll ever take from the head to the heart. And so it's not just about thinking, and you're absolutely right. It's about embodying. It's about the experience.
Right.
Yes, I love that you brought that.
Oh. Let's just digest for a minute. Let's take a breath. Feel our own bodies. Feel the life that's here in this moment. Touch into our inner life, our heart, spirit, soul. Maybe some gratitude. I'm feeling a lot of gratitude right now for Blake and the journey he's been on and for sharing it. Ooh. Is there anything else you feel like you haven't relayed that you just really wanted to share today?
Maybe just a question for the listeners. What if that greatest challenge in your life was the invitation, the initiation into your best version of you and your best life? Like, what if that was true? What would you do with that?
Oh, that's so good. I just imagine that question drop onto this huge feather bed, and then I just laid down on it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, much gratitude for, we talk a lot about vulnerability in our conversations with people, and I want to say you blew that out of the water.
You're skilled at that, yes.
Yeah, so appreciated.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't even know if I have words. It's more than sharing a story.
Thank you.
It's very heartfelt.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your life with us and what you've been learning. And we hope that inspires others to follow suit.
It sounds like the investigation's not done, so I think we will have to do a follow-up.
Yes, I think so too.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me. This is so much fun. I appreciate you all out there listening, so hopefully you were able to take something away from this.
Yeah, and we'll have some links in the notes so you can reach out to Blake.
Live Well, Be Wise is produced and recorded by Kari Lyons Price and yours truly, Dorinda Carlson. Our music is titled Inside You by Leva, a musician and composer at Lemon Music Studio, who we happily found on Pixabay.com. Our circle of sharing has concluded for today, but we'd like to give a great gratitude to you, my friend, for listening, for tuning in. Maybe even tapping into that understanding and compassion and the knowing within that tells us we're not alone in our own stories. So maybe you would like to share one of your own, or know a friend or a mentor or a teacher, someone you admire that has an extraordinary and inspirational story. We all have stories. The more we share, the more we know we're not alone. And don't be shy to reach out to connect in other ways, too. Of course, we'd love for you to subscribe and also give feedback. We wouldn't be here without you. We appreciate you. Live well, be wise.